Alright, everyone, do the best I can. It's really early in the morning, but I'm obviously not there today, so, here's your lesson. Have fun with it. So you're going to use factoring to simplify rationals. That's the target. Which means the agenda is first you need to listen to me talk about math, because I'm going to have to set you up. Otherwise, you're going to feel a little lost. Maybe. I don't know. You can probably do it. And then do your Delta Math assignments. If you're having trouble getting into Delta Math, I made a separate video. It's in your Teams. It's in the help desk. I'll post it basically everywhere. I'm going to spam Teams, help desk, email, everything. Maybe not email, but definitely the Teams. It'll be there. So here would be what I would do as an entry task. Simplify this. I'll even write that down. Okay. Well, if we're simplifying this, we're going to have to figure out what divides into both of those numbers, and we have to divide some of those x's out to 1. So let's first figure out what's in 24 and 80. You have the blue factor pair chart sheet. Use it. It's kind of nice. 80, I'm looking to see what's in 80. I'm also going to look and see what's in 24. And I'm going to find a common factor. So let's highlight 24, 80. And if I'm looking here, I'm looking for the biggest common factor in both of those terms. I'm seeing 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as a multiplication problem. So write this as 3 times 8. And then we got, 4x's multiplied as well. And I'm going to write that as 10 times 8. We got 2x's. I know you can do this without rewriting as a multiplication problem, but we're going to get used to factoring the top and bottom. Factoring meaning red as a multiplication problem. And then you can start dividing things to 1. So we end up with 3x squared over 10. So remember, if something over itself divides to 1, you can get rid of it in a multiplication problem, and we're okay. So that all seems well and good until, and that's our first Delta Math assignment, for the record. I'm going to get back to it. Simplifying fractions, or simplifying rationals level 1. It's all just this type of problem. So that would be the first thing I'd recommend you do. Second thing is factoring practice. Yeah, it's all nice to factor 24x to the fourth, or just even write it out as factors. That's great. But we talked about 3 different kinds of factoring, and we have practice on all 3. And this is also in your help desk. Again, please look at your team's help desk. This first period, but if you just click help desk, you can see all the stuff. Delta Math teacher code, factor pair chart, some factoring advice, and then I'll also have the videos that I'm creating, obviously, for today posted for you there too. So this greatest common factor, where you can look to find something in common in both of those. The a equals 1 factoring, which figure out what multiplies to c and adds to b. You can write out your answer. And we've also got difference of 2 squares. You got 2 perfect square numbers with a subtraction sign. He figures what times itself is each one. You write one with plus, one with minus. How can we tell which kind of factoring it is? I mean, GCF usually has 2 terms. It can have as many as we want, but typically you'll see it in this assignment with 2 terms. A equals 1 has 3 terms. That's what multiplies to, what adds to. Please use your factor pair chart if you need to, if you're bad at multiplication, or good at it, honestly. Finding what multiplies to 80 and all the things that multiply to 80 is kind of a pain. Like, I didn't remember 5 and 16 multiplied to 80. So, it still helps me even. Okay. Then, these are some of the problems that will be in. So, okay. Oh, yeah. Delta Math. Simplifying rationals level 1. That's like that first question I did. Here's the 3 different kinds of factoring. Make sure you're good at all 3 of those. If you're good at both, then you're ready for simplifying rationals level 2. If you notice, I put a video in here. It's not required that you watch the video. You do not have to. It can help. You can see some example problems. But you do need to do the problems. So the video is mostly just for support. I could also probably throw videos in here. I'm going to see if I can before I start. I'm not going to redo the video, though. So my video, I'm going to see if I can throw in some attached ones to each practice. So that way, if you need help, you can look at it. And let's just empty login. So we're going to get into simplifying rationals. That looks scary. It's got a bunch of plus and minus signs on the top and bottom. I already told you if addition and subtraction you cannot cancel over, so that can't do. Bad news. But if you do write it out as a multiplication problem, you can start dividing things to 1. So that means factor, factor, using one of your factoring methods. I'll do a couple of these. I'll do these two because it has all three in there. So I'm going to look, see if I can figure out which type of factoring I'm going to use. Once I'm comfortable actually doing the factoring, this will be much easier. So it looks like, I'll do this one first. This one is 2 terms and something divides out of both. I can see 8 multiplies into 8 and 40. So that looks like it's going to be a common factor problem. The bottom one actually doesn't need to be factored. 24 times x is already a multiplication problem. So I can use my greatest common factor strategy. Divide that 8 out. You look and see if there's anything you can get rid of. Doesn't look like it off the top of your head, but remember 24 is 3 times 8. So you can actually simplify that 8 out. So we end up with x minus 5 over 3x. So that's tricky in the sense that you may not see that something could divide to 1 right away. But if you see a numerical fraction, you can simplify it. We got other kinds of factoring here. I see 3 terms. That's like a equals 1 factoring, which means I should be looking for what multiplies to 24 and adds to 11. So I could look at my factor chart if I like, or I could just use my multiplication skill. Once I figure out that 8 times 3 is 24 and 8 plus 3 is 11, I should be able to factor this with a 3 and an 8. And then the top one, there is no common factor. There's nothing that divides out of both, but it is a difference of 2 perfect squares. So it's two numbers that are something times itself. And how we did that one, again, we have a bunch of factoring practice that we've done. I'm not going to go over every little detail about how to factor right this second. But you figure out what times itself is x. That goes in the first spot. Figure out what times itself is 9. Goes in the second spot. You also have 1 plus sign, 1 minus sign. So I have it factored. Now I can actually start getting rid of stuff. But you can only get rid of something if it's in both the top and bottom, and if it's the exact same. And you cannot break up parentheses. Parentheses are like married couples. You can't break them up. The only way to get a divorce is factor. You got to multiply. So let's do this. You can take the whole thing out though. I could not. Once I'm down to just like x minus 3. X plus 8. Again, I'm stuck with a bunch of either parentheses, or you can think of it as like a plus or minus sign. They're stuck together. I can't just get rid of the x's. No, that's bad news. This is it. That's all we got. You can't break them up. There's no more factoring to be done. So there's a couple examples of what you might see. You can rewatch this video. I'm going to try and add in individual factoring videos to Delta Math. And hopefully everything's good. Let me know if, hey sub, let me know if anyone's not working. I would love to know. I'll crush them. I'm just kidding. You guys are going to do great. Do the best you can. Email me with questions. And I will talk to you all on Monday, or, yeah, your A-Day, so Monday.